Marilyn Hemingway, and welcome to A Gathering Place. I said, I'm stepping back because we have young voices who want to be heard and they're moving on something.
Branding is really important to you and your business.
Even a basic type of technology, you learn it all.
And people are
Good question.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to A Gathering Place, brought to you by the Gullah Geechee Chamber of Commerce, and I'm your host, Marilyn Hemingway, and I am excited, as I am always excited, to bring our special guest on to help get us educated and knowledgeable as we create and grow our businesses here in the Gullah community. So come on in and drop your questions in the comments section as we welcome our special guest, Mr. William Furman. William, how are you?
Good afternoon. I'm very well. Thank you for having me today.
Well, thank you for joining us. And let me tell the folks a little bit about you, then we'll jump into the United States Small Business Administration and what it is, its mission, and services it provides. But just to let y'all know that William is the Senior Area Manager for the U.S. Small Business Administration, and he's located in North Charleston, South Carolina. He does the low country. He's the coastal guru, the guy with the information. He graduated from Clemson University with a BS degree, and I will not hold that against William because I am a Gamecock.
Go Tigers.
Yeah, go Tigers. We like. I like you, William. I might not like them Tigers, but I like William. Anyway. William had a 27-year career with the United States Department of Agriculture, and he served in the lead rural business services specialist position. So he has much experience in dealing with rural business development. And that's, South Carolina is mostly a rural state, and our rural areas need some help. And African-American businesses in the Gullah community, almost by definition, we're in mostly rural areas. So, William, I'm looking forward to this conversation because you have an extensive background in the coastal counties. So we're going to keep it really basic, William, for me. and also for our viewing audience. But before we do, I want to remind everybody, drop your questions in our comment section because that's why we have William here to answer questions from our small business owners, or if you have a dream to create a small business. Because even in the time of COVID, William and I were talking earlier, there are many opportunities out here. You just got to know where the resources are to help you make your dream come true. Make that vision become a reality. So, William, why don't you tell us about the United States Small Business Administration and what's its mission? What does it do?
Okay, absolutely. Again, it's just a pleasure to be here. And I have worked on, I used to live, I lived in Conway, and my office was in Georgetown. So I do cover the coastal area of South Carolina. And the mission of SBA is very simple, really. Is to assist small businesses with both starting their business and growing their business. And so we do that in multiple different ways. The first way is that we provide technical assistance and training to small businesses. And the great thing about this is that we're able to provide this at no cost to the business. Now, we work very closely with what we call our resource partners, and these are organizations that SBA provides financial support to and oversight to. And so in South Carolina, we have the Small Business Development Center. They have offices spread out all across the state. We also have SCORE, and SCORE is the same way. They have offices across the state. Now, just recently, we've been fortunate enough to obtain some funding, and we were able to sponsor and open 2 women's business centers. So we provided grant funding to these organizations. One is Benedict College, and the other is Community Works Carolina. So they're located in Community Works is in Greenville. Benedict College is in Columbia, and then we're still working to try to open a women's business center in the Low Country. Hopefully in Charleston, that would be mid-state, and I think a good location for that to serve the entire coast. So have some exciting things going on there. And so by having these organizations, they are able to work one-on-one with these small businesses. They can help with business planning. They can help put together loan packages for businesses. They can help guide and direct businesses to appropriate sources of funding, marketing. I mean, the list goes on and on. The bottom line is that if a business needs it, they can go to our resource partners and obtain this help. The way I like to put it is our resource partners really act as our boots on the ground to assist and provide help for small business. And so counseling.
We're a
Go ahead.
startup, William. We're a startup, but my goal is that we are also a resource, between our community and the Small Business Administration. So not only are we a resource, but we are a facilitator to bring other resources to the community. So that's great. That's good to hear that. So as you were saying, I'm sorry, continue what you were saying.
Yeah, so that's the primary way that we provide one-on-one support, business support to small businesses. The next thing is we have multiple capital access programs. These would be our lending programs. We have anything from a micro lending program where a business can borrow, a loan as small as $1,000, $2,000, up to our guaranteed loans where the loan limit on those goes up to $5 million. So you can see everything between a couple of thousand to $5 million is available from our lending programs. And one thing that the public needs to understand is that SBA is not actually the lender on these types of programs. We provide what we call loan guarantees to banks, and these guarantees act really a lot like an insurance policy. So if there were a default on the loan, the lender would just come back to SBA and make a claim for any loss that they may have. So by doing that, it reduces the risk to that bank and encourages that bank to make loans to small businesses that they normally may not be able to make, which is a very important point.
It is a very important point, William. And as you're talking about lending, there's a quick question I want to bring up regarding it's not quite directly funding, but I think this is important. Can you help with repairing credit? Is that one of the responsibilities of SBA? And if not, what do you suggest someone does who's interested in starting a business and needs credit repair? Mm-hmm.
So there are a couple of things to look at there. So one of that's not necessarily a charge of SBA is to assist businesses with repairing their credit. However, some of our loan programs are more liberal than a commercial bank. So especially if you look at some of our programs like our micro lending program, they don't use the same credit standards that a commercial lender may use. So it makes it a little bit easier. It still has to be a good bankable loan, but you don't necessarily have that strict credit policy that a commercial bank may have. The other thing is just going back to our resource partners. They can help that small business, identifying what their issues are and working up a plan to resolve those issues. So indirectly, yes, we can assist with situations where credit may not be where it should be. So absolutely.
So what you're saying is there are actually many paths to funding available, and SBA can help educate you about the different types of funding that are out there and possibly help you in that direction.
We can absolutely. Today I'm talking come up from a pretty high level. We're flying about 10,000 feet right now, looking down. Yeah, but there are multiple lending programs depending on what your goal is and what you're trying to do. Whether you're trying to just start a business, whether you're trying to expand your business, if you're trying to purchase real estate, maybe you have an existing business and you're leasing your office or your space and you'd like to purchase that space. We have programs especially or specifically for all of those types of situations. And some of the benefits of using SBA are that lenders can stretch the loan terms. They can give you a longer term loan than you normally may get if without that guarantee. The down payment or equity injection may be less by using SBA. As far as collateral goes, SBA does require collateral. However, there can be a collateral shortfall, and SBA can still guarantee the loan, and the business can still get the loan. As long as it's as long as it has good cash flow and it is a good project. So it helps those businesses overcome weaknesses that they may have.
So, William, I do have a question, kind of hopping off this comment. I'm about to put it on the screen here. It says, with me in default because of my student loan, I do not believe I would be able to get help. So my question, this leads me to the question, William, a business loan is different from a personal loan, but do your personal finances impact that business loan? How does that work? How does that work?
Yeah, and that's a good question. And it does. Your personal finances do follow you into your business, and so the lender is going to look at both the business as well as the individual. And many times, that individual is going to have to personally guarantee the loan of the business. So that's an important note. If you're delinquent on federal debt, which in many times student loans may be federally guaranteed as well, and so that may create a problem. However, that is where our resource partners can help. That you can develop repayment plans with even if you're behind on a student loan, or even if it were a tax situation, you can develop repayment plans for that, and after a certain period of time you can overcome some of these situations. There again, it just takes, like you mentioned, it takes planning. It may take some time, but it can be done.
It can be done, and that's the Small Business Administration is that resource that understands that in the United States, small businesses employ over 60 million of Americans, us and our fellow Americans. So small businesses are the backbone of our economy. It's not sexy to say that, but small businesses employ a lot of folks, and we want to create more small businesses, but probably even more importantly, we want them to be sustainable and successful, because if you're sustainable and successful, you employ more people, put more people to work. So right. It's good to know about the lending, for example, because people want small businesses to stay in business, which leads me to the most immediate concern that's happening with small businesses. COVID-19 has closed a lot of small businesses. It's hard out here right now. And let's talk about, William, a little bit about the PPP loans and the other one, EIDL, and which I actually received in my business. It was $1,000, but as we said earlier, every little bit helps. And I'm a very small startup. I started in 2018, but it has certainly helped me keep going, even though I've been blessed that I've actually kept some clients and I have some funds coming in, but certainly every little bit helps. So tell me, William, about those PPP loans and the grants and the difference between the loans and the grants and how it's set up. And if you know well, I'll say this because I don't know if you know it, and I can be a little bit more political than you, but it looks like they're getting ready to pass a stimulus plan that's going to put some more money out there for small businesses, and that's a good thing. That's a good
Yeah.
thing. But William, tell us about the program, PPP and EIDL.
Yeah, this process has been an ongoing process that continues to change and continues to evolve. And over the last few days, I've been reading the newspapers as well, and it keeps every day it looks like they're molding it a little bit different. But I definitely believe a new stimulus bill will pass, and I definitely believe PPP will be certainly a major part of that. But let's back up a little bit and let's start out talking about the economic injury disaster loan, which you benefited. You said you benefited from, and so this is a loan that when the CARES Act first came out, there were two pieces of the economic injury disaster loan. There was a grant portion based on the number of employees you had, and then there was the actual loan. All of the funds for the grant have been utilized, and they were used pretty quickly. The funds that were available, they were used pretty quickly, and so those have all been dispersed. However, the economic injury disaster loan application and program is currently still active. So if you are a small business and you have not obtained or you have not applied for the economic injury disaster loan, now is the time. Time is of the essence because that window will close on December 21st, which is Monday. That window is scheduled to close. Now, I said earlier, this program and process continues to evolve. Very may be extended. We don't know, but as we stand today, right here and right now, that application is scheduled to close Monday. So that is a loan up to $150,000. It is for working capital. It's based on the loan would be based on your working capital needs for 6 months, based on historical financial records. The loan itself, the interest rate is 3.75 for small businesses, 2.75 for nonprofits. And the term on that can go up to 30 years. Okay, so long-term, low interest. The payments are deferred for the first 12 months to give that small business the opportunity to get through COVID, try to restabilize before they have to start making payments on the loan. So that's a very important piece, but it is a loan. It does have to be repaid. Okay, so a lot of people are confused on that. Even though it is a low interest long term, those payments will start coming due in approximately a year, and that has to be repaid. So that's one opportunity, one option that is still available. The next is PPP. So we went through the PPP process. These are loans that are, as I mentioned earlier, loan guarantees. These were guaranteed by SBA, and the loans themselves were actually made by commercial lenders. The way this program is set up is that the commercial lenders made the loans, and you were to use those funds for working capital as well as rent and mortgage interest. And as long as you used those funds for those purposes within 24 weeks, then you can apply for forgiveness, loan for forgiveness on the PPP loans. And so that's where we currently are on the PPP process. Is those businesses, for the most part now, I think have used all of their funding. And so now they're working with their lenders, putting together their forgiveness application packages. And so there's still a lot of questions on that. If anybody has a question about which application they're supposed to be using, there are actually 3 different applications depending on the size of the loan that you can use. And so
And we do have a question. We have question about what about grants? Can you help with information for this? What about grants?
Yeah, so there were some grants that were available under the COVID-19 and CARES Act. And actually, these PPP loans through the forgiveness process convert into grants. So once you're forgiven, that loan turns into a grant. As I mentioned, with the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, it did have a grant component as well. Now, if you're looking for in our regular business programs, SBA does not have any grants, to help you start or grow your business under normal circumstances. We have our loan programs. Again, they have their benefits in that their interest rates are very competitive. It provides for a longer loan term. It reduces the amount of equity that you have to have in your business or your down payment. So there are a lot of benefits from using those particular programs. But again, they are loans and they are not grants. Grants, there, I won't say there are no grants available, but they are very limited for a for-profit business.
I think in the African American community, William, and I've been out here talking to folks, and I've been out here long enough that in the African American community, we tend to start a lot of nonprofits. And I think because what the impact is, it's because people may have bad personal credit or not have credit or don't understand credit. So they think rather than starting a business, I'll start a nonprofit and I could go get a grant. Because you don't necessarily have to prove your credit worthiness, for example.
Right.
That's something as a Gullah Geechee Chamber of Commerce, I actually do not encourage, because nonprofits have a totally different purpose than a business, which is for profit. And nonprofits, you're limited on how you raise those funds. And also when you get a grant, those grants may also limit you. And you have to really report back on how you use those funds. Not to say grants are not useful, but for a business, you work on your credit, you go get a loan, you get that loan based on your business plan, which is what you want that money to be used for. You go get a loan based on that application for funding, maybe purchasing a building or increasing your inventory so you can fulfill a contract. So that is something like specifically to build your business. And I think if people start thinking more about the business and how that's an economic uplift opportunity and understand how it works with your credit, but not just it's not just about your credit. You can maybe go get a micro loan for something very specific that will allow you to grow that business, buy a piece of equipment that will allow you to fulfill a contract, grow that business. So that it's different. It's looking at the problem in a different way when it
Right.
comes to businesses.
Yeah.
And I do know there are a lot of nonprofits out there, but people also run into. I have people ask me all the time, "Are you a grant writer?" So you've created another problem, thinking it's you're going to start something and then you can't write grants.
Yeah, and that's a good point, and that brings up a big difference in SBA as well, because SBA can only assist for-profit businesses, so we're not structured to assist nonprofits. We don't have any grant programs for nonprofits, and we don't have any loan programs for nonprofits. All of SBA's programs are targeted for those small businesses for profit. And so that's a pretty big difference there.
Yeah, that is a pretty big difference. And I can say this, William, because I'm founded the Gullah Geechee Chamber of Commerce, that in our community, African American community, Black or Gullah, because those are interchangeable terms, we need to create more businesses, folks. We have a lot of nonprofits out there, but we really need to create more businesses because that really lends itself to economic uplift and generational wealth. So this is one of the reasons we brought the SBA on as a resource and to talk to that today, or a general talk about the SBA, and has and how it can work as a resource to help you create a business, start it, and grow that business. And before I ask William the next question, I just want to take a quick station break and remind everyone that you are watching A Gathering Place, brought to you by the Gullah Geechee Chamber of Commerce and hosted by myself, Marilyn Hemingway, CEO, and happy to be here with everyone as usual on Wednesdays at 4 and Sundays at 4. So, William, my next question, because I went to the SBA website and there were 4 things that caught my attention. And I just want to talk about them very quickly because, y'all, I'm just letting y'all know we're going to bring William back on so we can do a deep dive. But on the website, they have 4 topics: plan your business, launch your business, manage your business, and grow your business. William, I just want to talk about when you plan your business. Just give me an overview. What should someone do? I have a great idea. How do I make it a business? How do I plan it?
So you need to plan your business. And not only do you need, number one, it needs to be, well, let me say this. Many times I ask, do you have your business plan? And that, I get a resounding yes. And then when I start asking, trying to get a little bit deeper, they have a plan, but it's in their head. It's not necessarily on paper. So this needs to be something, a formal process that you actually go through and evaluate all the pros and cons of what you're trying to do. You're going to identify any competitors. You're going to identify where the business is going to go. You're going to talk about how you are going to conduct your business. And then you also need to be able to provide financial statements and projections. So, when it's time to obtain funding for your business, you need to be able to go in to a lender and tell that lender specifically, what you need, and even more importantly, to the lender, how they're going to be repaid. So too many times I ask that question, well, what kind of loan do you need? What size loan do you need? And the reply I get is, well, how much can I borrow? And that's the wrong answer. Okay. So you need to have everything confirmed. You need to know what your startup costs are going to be, how you're going to start your business. And then you're going to need to know what the revenue of your business is and how you're going to be able to service that debt. And even better, how you're going to make profit. What is the profit of your business going to be? And it's something that's a living document that you really should have all the time. And you should set goals for your business and evaluate that, whether it's on a quarterly basis, annual basis, and just take a look and to see where you are. If you didn't make your goals, figure out why, what changes need to be made, and keep moving forward. And again, that you will continue to revise that plan as you move forward. And it's just it's a roadmap for your business and showing where you want to go, and it tells you how you're going to get there. It's the easiest way I can put it.
I really think people, William, they get intimidated by the business plan, because I know when I was coming up, and I'm telling my age, folks, 30 years ago, to start a business and write a business plan, you were talking 40 to 100 pages. That's what, you had to have all these financials and stuff. And I think it became intimidating. And what happened with me, and I'll tell my story, is I took a course at the College of Charleston, In Place Impact. They had a community business class that was free, started by Stuart Williams. And at the end of the class, I think it was 12 weeks, we had a lean business plan. That's the new term, the lean business plan. And for me, it took away that intimidation factor. I walked in there thinking I'm going to have 40, 60, 70 pages in this business plan. And it really took away that intimidation factor for me of breaking down the parts of a business plan and what you needed to, what information a loan or a funder would need to, say, give you some money. And I started self-funding. I don't recommend that to anybody unless you got some savings and somebody else is paying your household bills. And in my situation, there was someone paying the household bills until I could really get up and running. But I do recommend a resource like SBA or the College of Charleston, which has the In Place Impact Community Business class, where you can really just talk to folks and remove that intimidation factor, remove the fact that you don't have that knowledge, and get some good information on that business plan. So, William, any thoughts regarding those business plans? Especially in 2020, are we looking the future? Is it going to be lean business plans from now on?
Yeah, it depends on the lean business plan model is a very good way to get started. And actually, on the SBA website, we have, or at least we used to have, a template for both a conventional business plan as well as the lean business plan model. So certainly, if you're just getting started and you're trying to figure out what you want to do, that is definitely the easiest way to do it. Is do it with the lean version of the plan. Definitely.
Yeah, so that's a good thing, folks. If you're really interested in starting your business, go to the SBA and go to their Start Planning Your Business tab and get rolling. There's some good ideas out there. I see one of our viewers is talking about starting a T-shirt shop. And let me tell you, technology has played a huge part in helping small businesses start, because you could go and Google in T-shirt the machines to create the T-shirts, to print the T-shirt, for example. And if you don't have the money, go ask a friend to come in with you and get those T-shirts rolling, and start small. That's what I always tell people. Start small, see what sells, and then that's what you need to really push. You don't have to make 100 T-shirts. You can make 10 T-shirts and see how they sell. And if they sell well, then that's what you go with. And then you start building your inventory out from there. You really do have to kind of break it down. So what's our next topic here? Let me go to that, William.
Yeah,
Launch your business.
Yeah,
Go
you
ahead.
took
Mhm.
you took the words out of my mouth. You don't have to start with a huge business. You can start small. There's nothing wrong with that. You may have a full-time job, and there's nothing wrong with starting another small business that you do part-time, a part-time
Mhm.
small business, and then as you build that business and as you grow that business, you learn what you have to do and what works and what doesn't work and what's required, and how to do certain things. And so, yeah, I think that's very good advice. If you haven't done anything like that before, especially if you're working a full-time job and you want to hang on to that job for a little while, start small and then grow your business. And then once you see if that's something you want to do full-time, that can give you the opportunity to grow it until up to that point when you're ready to jump into that full-time.
And that leads me, William, to another question. The difference between starting a business, say starting a business by buying into a franchise, and I want to talk about multi-level marketing if you can. Is that really a business? When you're in a multi-level marketing situation like Amway, I don't know if you can answer that, but tell us the difference between starting a business or buying into a business and buying into a franchise.
Yeah, so whether you start your business or whether you purchase an existing business, when you do that, you are on your own, if you will. You make all the decisions. You develop all your business policies. You develop your company manual. Everything that you do is self-developed. Now, and that's not a bad thing. You can do it how you want it. You can structure it how you want it. You have a lot of freedom to do it that way. And so, we see that an awful lot, but we do see franchises as well. And so a franchise, when you buy into a franchise or enter into a franchise agreement, you are agreeing to work in accordance with the franchisee. So whoever has the franchise, you agree to their rules, you agree to their marketing. They want everything to be the same. And that has its benefits because you don't have to go back and develop all of that. They will come in and provide training and assistance to you on your site. But for that, you pay a franchise fee. So that's an individual type decision that one has to make. And they both, I'm not going to say one is better than the other. There are some very good franchises out there. There's some that may not be so good. It's you need to be able to do your homework and determine, what would work for you. Look at the success rate of those franchises. SBA actually does a franchise review on franchises that SBA finances to make sure that, number one, that business is an eligible business, and to make sure that there are no affiliation issues. So there's some franchises that if you entered into that franchise, you were really nothing more than an employee of that franchise. So that's something that SBA looks at. SBA will not finance a franchise business if there are problems with the affiliation. It truly has to be an independent business. You need to be able to hire and fire your own employees and those types of things for it to be an eligible franchise.
I didn't even know that. So that's good information to know. I guess that's sometimes when you see those signs that says independently owned, it's independently owned franchise, but maybe it's the branding that's paid for the marketing. So that's good information to know. Multi-level marketing. I am out here. Jewelry is a big thing now. I don't know if you've heard of it, William, like paparazzi, and there's some other names out there. Folks are selling jewelry for nickel free for $5 to $15. Is that considered a business, or is that multi-level marketing?
Yeah, that would get to be a legal question, but in my view, that gets to be more like multi-level marketing. SBA does not approve those types of businesses. At some point, that becomes a speculative type of business, which is not eligible under SBA guidelines. So most lenders, if you're looking for financing for those types of businesses or programs, you're not going to be able to get that. That would be something you would have to do out of pocket.
Okay. All right. Very good. That's good to know. Which leads to my next question, which is actually a big question because I run into this all the time. What do I need to do to launch the business? What do I need to do to become a legal business?
Yeah, so you're going to need, to do several things. Number one, you do need to create an employee identification number. You're going to have to determine what type of business you're going to be. Are you going to be a sole proprietor, or are you going to be a limited liability company, or are you going to be a corporation? And that, that's where you need to start thinking about, and this opens up a whole nother topic. You need to start thinking about building your business team. What does every business need to have? Well, you need to have legal representation. You need an attorney to help you develop and determine what the best legal form of ownership of your business is going to be. You're going to need an accountant that will help with that as well. It's always good to have an insurance agent on your team. And then a consultant of some sort, maybe whether it's SCORE, Small Business Development Center, they can all fill that need as well. And then you need to develop your relationship with your banker. A banker is a very important person to have on your team. And if you're not, you may not have developed a commercial loan yet, but when you walk into the bank, does the branch manager know who you are? Maybe they do and maybe they don't, but if they don't, you need to introduce yourself, have conversation with them. If you're interested in starting a business, you need to tell them, what your plans and goals are, and they will be more than happy to assist you within their branch to help you with that. And so that's a very important piece as well. So, as you launch your business, you need to make all of those types of decisions, and you need to build your business team to help pull that off and execute that.
And these are important things to know, information to know, folks, because in particular, even before COVID with PPP and the other forms of funding, I knew that there were a lot of companies out there in the Black communities that were not legally formed, whether they were an LLC, S corporation, etc. And then they also did not have relationships with their bankers. And what ended up happening, a lot of them could not even apply for the PPP loan because they didn't have the paperwork. They didn't have any tax forms, any tax returns. They didn't have the relationship with the banker. And a lot of these companies, businesses are in the community and they're doing good work. But because they weren't legal, they weren't able to get the funding to keep going. And in the Black community, we've had a lot of small businesses close because of that fact. So it pays off, folks, and especially in times of emergency, to get your paperwork straight. And I understand for historical reasons why we may not necessarily have the paperwork, but for us to grow, once again, this speaks to economic uplift and generational wealth, leaving it to your family, for example. What happens after you leave this earth? You got to have some paperwork in order. And that means becoming a legal business, a legal entity, getting your EIN number from the IRS, and also building a relationship with your banker. Those are very, very important points to make, William, and that really does impact your community. So if anybody has those questions or comments out there, I would love to hear from you directly. And William, I'm sure, is why would someone not have their paperwork for their business? We'd love to hear that, because those are issues that we want to address through the Gullah Geechee Chamber of Commerce. So drop that in the comments box. So William, from launching the business, now that I've launched it, how do I manage my business? How do I do the business of being in business? Any suggestions from the SBA?
Yeah, so that's where I think it really becomes very helpful. You need to run your business and not let your business run you. And that's where your team can be very, very helpful with that. But you also need to have mentors or business consultants. And that's where our partners can come in and help with that as well. That gives you the ability to bounce ideas off of someone who is not personally tied or emotionally tied to the business, and that can help you, make those kinds of decisions as you run your business. They can give you input and maybe some various different viewpoints when you run your business. Again, just having your business team and keeping good records, that is very important. And I think, you hit the nail on the head. There were some pretty sad stories when PPP came out and people did not have, they did not have their tax returns or hadn't done their taxes. And so then that prohibited them from being able to obtain assistance that, really they should have been able to get. And so that's very important. Day-to-day operations, it just, again, I think you can't try to do everything yourself. You do have to build your team, and then you do need to have a good mentor that can help with that. And if you do those things, that's, a lot of people don't want to pay an attorney, or you don't want to pay an accountant, but that's money that is well spent in the long term.
It does. And actually, that comment, I'd imagine that one reason paperwork isn't up to par is money. You can't consult with a lawyer or accountant for free. And Brittany, I agree with you on that. But there are also other resources out there. And this is why we're having that conversation. For example, SCORE can help you with some of these questions when it comes to legal and financial questions. There are resources out there that could possibly help you if you don't have the money to pay a lawyer or a CPA. And I have to, when I started my businesses and really got serious about it and started my business and started making some money, I actually brought my financial person on first. I paid them before I paid myself. But I was in different circumstances where I had some breathing space. I had enough money to live on. I had some, because I left the job to start it, so I saved some money, and I actually had a car accident, so I had a little bit of money from that. The accident wasn't my fault. So when I stepped out to start my business full time, I actually left my job, had a little bit of a cushion, and but really had to build to the point where I was making some money. And once I started making some money, I really didn't pay myself. I brought a financial person in to get my books together and straight, because that's very important, especially when it comes to the IRS. And my financial person who's probably watching is probably nodding her head saying yes, because she jumps on me about stuff. I'm not perfect, folks, but you got to find a way to kind of do some stuff if you're serious about being in business. And this is where the planning comes into place. It's very important to do some type of planning. Get that business plan in order. And part of your business plan should be a timeline. You know, when are you going to launch it? What are your goals to make in 6 months? Are you going to be at this point? In a year, are you going to be at another point? In 2 years, will you be able to leave your full-time job and do the business full-time? So you got to think about things like that. And that's why a lot of people work full-time and do the business on the side and build to the point where then they can step away and do it full time. Because you're right, you got to pay that CPA, you got to pay that lawyer, those legal fees. But tap into those resources like a SCORE and other entities out here. So William, then our next topic, the fourth one, and we're going to bring him back, but growing your business. What can you do to grow business? And one of the big things is I just completed paperwork because I actually have more than one entity. I have a 501c3. William, when my 501c3 just signed on to grants.gov. So
All
now
right.
I have access to federal grants. And that's just one example. But one thing to grow your business is you can become a federal contractor, but you can also tap into your local government procurement programs also. So, William, any suggestions to help us with that, growing your business?
Absolutely. So there are a couple of things, couple of programs that SBA has that can help you grow your business. And I do want to talk about contracting, but before I talk about that, many people, depending on what your business is, but many people never think about exporting and exporting your products. That is another way that you can grow your business, and SBA can help you with that. We have export programs, we have export financing that can assist with that. So don't ever, don't ever think it's or you're too small to export. People export all types of things, and that is a great way that you can inject another revenue stream in is by exporting. But then with contracting, do you want to do business with the government? And a great way to get started on that is with your local government, with your city government, with your county government, state government. It's a real good way to get started in government contracting. But then there's also the federal government. And so, I tell people doing business with the government, it's not really a good way to start your business, but it is a great way to grow your business. And so the federal government has to spend, or has a goal to spend, 23% of all of its purchases with small businesses. And then within that, we have set aside programs or certifications that we call them, meaning that the government sets aside a certain block of money for certain categories. And we have the woman-owned small businesses. We have what we call an 8A business development program. This is a program for social and economically disadvantaged firms. We have a hub zone program. This is a locational based program It's either based on your county or your census tract, and it's for distressed communities. So the government tries to spend those contracting dollars using the Hub Zone program in distressed communities. And if your business is located in a distressed community, and 35% of your employees live in a distress in that Hub Zone, you can receive set aside status, and that makes it easier. It reduces the competition, makes it easier for the government to spend their contracting dollars in those areas. We also have service disabled veteran-owned small business certifications, and so that means exactly what it sounds. If you're a service disabled vet, you can receive a certification for that, and then you would have the ability to access set aside funding for those types of contracts. So very, very good way. We are actually doing a great opportunity, Marilyn, up your way. The day after the Martin Luther King holiday, the city of Myrtle Beach is doing a virtual workshop on a small business workshop on contracting. I'll be there. They're going to have representatives from the state. Of course, the city of Myrtle Beach is going to be there to talk about opportunities that they have. So that's another opportunity that is coming up that I would highly encourage you, if you have any interest in doing any business with government, that would be a good one to attend. There is no cost. And again, it is a virtual. Unfortunately, we're still doing things virtually, and it is a virtual conference.
Well, that's good because more people can jump on to that virtual conference. And as Brittany just said, never knew about the 23% allocated to small businesses. Yep. It's a definite opportunity to grow your business. But we want to make sure, and William noted, it's not for you to create a business, it's for you to grow a business, because you do not want to go into a contract that you cannot fulfill, because that'll be the first thing that'll kill your business. And the federal government is going to expect you to fulfill that contract. And I suffice to say that every government, whether it's local, state, or federal, if you sign a contract with them, you need to be able to fill that contract. All right. So think of it more of that's what we're growing towards. And once we get certified or we become a contractor with the government, it takes us to another level. All right. So don't use it to create your business. Use it to grow your business. Very good point, William. Certifications. How complicated are these certifications? I'm African American female, women owned, so minority. Do I have to be in business a certain number of years, for example, William? Do I have to be in business 5 years, then go try for that certification? How would that work?
So there, and I hate to say it's complicated, but there are rules, okay, and there are eligibility requirements, and for every certification, it's different. Just take for instance the service disabled veteran-owned small business. It's very simple because it's what we call a self-certification. You go through the System for Award Management, which is basically a government website that manages the government platform, if you will. That's where you go in to register your business so that if you do work for the government, you get paid. You actually put your bank account information there, and that's how they track you. That one is very simple. Probably on the other end of the spectrum would be the 8A business development program. That is a certification where you actually have to apply to SBA. There is a lot of documentation that goes along with that. You do have to be in business for 2 full years for that one. And so you've got to provide financial statements and tax returns. You have to be able to show that you are socially, both socially disadvantaged and economically disadvantaged. So, but there's an easy way to go. So if you go to certify.sba.gov, that's another website. It has a tool there called Am I Eligible? And you can go through that tool. It's very intuitive. You just ask questions and you answer the questions. And then at the end, it will tell you if it appears, what programs it appears you are eligible for. And so I would highly encourage, if you're interested in doing government contracting, that's certified.sba.gov, and take a look at that. And you can also access the applications for certifications on that website as well. So that's a good website to know.
Very good, very good. And I want to remind everyone that you are watching a gathering place hosted by the Gullah Geechee Chamber of Commerce and, brought to you by the Gullah Geechee Chamber of Commerce and hosted by me, Marilyn Hemingway. And we're going to wrap up today. This is good timing, William, and this has been a lot more detailed than I thought it would be, but it is good information, exactly what I wanted. So thank you very much, William, for joining us today. Y'all, we're going to bring William back, and we're going to really do a deep dive into the different topics of starting your business, launching your business, growing your business, and so on. So you could really see what the resources are available through the SBA and get you started on your business or grow your business. So, William, any last thoughts that we need to hear, especially during this holiday season? There are a lot of folks out here baking cakes and making candles and stuff for gifts. To sell for gifts and everything, and have in their head, I'm a business, but may not quite be a business. But do you have any final thoughts for us to share?
Yeah, that's there's a fine line between a hobby and a business sometimes. So, yeah, the thing that I would say right now is if you're in business, I know some businesses are doing very well. Some are still struggling, most definitely. I would encourage you to pay attention to the news, to the press, see what comes out of this stimulus package. Again, I think there will be another round of PPP. There may be some changes to the economic injury disaster loan as well. We just don't know. We'll have to wait and see. And so pay attention to the news. And let's pray that 2021 turns out to be better than 2020. I know 2020 was rough for everybody. And so that would be my advice for the moment. And then let's follow up in 2021, and I'll be happy to dive into any of these topics on a deeper level. And depending on what everyone is interested in, we can go in whichever direction.
Very good, William. Thank you for that offer. We know, folks, look for a little survey. We'll send a little survey out to see which topics you want to do a deep dive into, and we'll invite William back to answer your questions and give us some good information. And please take advantage of the resource. We had the website up here during the entire show, sba.gov. Go to that website, start getting some knowledge so you can implement your dream of being a business owner. I did it. And I know a lot of folks out here who are doing the hard work to make it happen. And one thing I love about being in business for myself, I'm not making a lot of money right now, but I have a lot more freedom, surprisingly, and the peace of mind of knowing that the final decision is my decision and I can live with that. And that in and of itself is a richness. So, folks, we encourage you to start your small business, make your dream happen, and we'll definitely invite William back. William, thank you for joining us today. Certainly enjoyed you and enjoyed your information, and I'll be in touch so we can make this happen again.
Thank you so much, and I hope everybody has a very Merry Christmas and Happy Holiday.
Thank you. You too, William. Happy holidays.
Thank you.
And yes, folks, William, good information from the United States Small Business Administration. So happy that we were able to bring William on and share his information with us. And I want to encourage you to go to sba.gov and start your journey to being a small business owner, because that's the way you're going to build that wealth, generational wealth, and your wealth also. I want to remind everybody, coming up this Sunday, on third Sunday, Politics talk as usual. We're bringing the gang back, folks, to talk politics. We're going to talk electoral college, Georgia runoff, and what are you doing in your hometown to stay engaged? And I know my fellow co-hosts, they're excited always to come on the third Sunday, at 4 o'clock and talk politics. So y'all come on back and join us this Sunday at 4 o'clock at a gathering place, a gathering of change makers in our community. Thanks, everyone, and we look forward to seeing you next time on A Gathering Place.